I'm Alex Jones, and you're watching The Reality Report.
Hello and welcome to this edition of the Reality Report on Freedom.tv. I'm Gary Franchi. We have got a jam-packed show lined up for you today on topics and actions that you need to know. We've got the extended report from the Jekyll Island meetings, Henry Kissinger's overthrow of Iran, Obama admitting to the U.S. involvement in the 1953 Iranian overthrow, footage of Congressman Mark Kirk waffling on his support for RR-12 provided by the Campaign for Liberty of Illinois, the Federal Reserve admitting they have no clue where trillions of bailout money has gone, Kim Jong-il's recent threats to America, exclusive behind-the-scenes footage from inside Alex Jones' Austin, Texas Command Center, and an update from Congressman Ron Paul on socialized health care. But before we get to all that, let's take a quick break. Welcome back to the Reality Report. Let's kick off this edition with the shocking admission by the Inspector General of the Federal Reserve, Elizabeth Coleman, to Congressman Alan Grayson that they have no clue. The Federal Reserve has no trillions of dollars in bailout money is gone.
Have you reached any conclusions about the Fed expanding its balance sheet by over $1 trillion since last September?
We have not yet reached any conclusions.
Do you know who received that money?
We're in the process right now of doing our review, and
Right, but you're the Inspector General. My question to you specifically is, do you know who received that $1 trillion plus that the Fed extended and put on its balance sheet since last September? Do you know the identity of the recipients?
I do not know. We have not looked at that specific area at this particular point on those reviews.
What about Bloomberg's report that there are trillions of dollars in off-balance sheets transactions that the Federal Reserve has entered into since last September? Are you familiar with those off-balance sheet transactions?
We do not have jurisdiction to directly go out and audit Reserve Bank activities specifically. Nevertheless, in our lending facilities project, for example, we are looking at the board's oversight over the program, and to the extent that extends out to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York.
Have you conducted any investigation or auditing of the losses that the Federal Reserve has experienced on its lending since last September?
We're still in the process of conducting that review. Until we actually, go out and gather the information, I'm not in a position to really respond to the specific question.
So are you telling me that nobody at the Federal Reserve is keeping track on a regular basis of the losses that it incurs on what is now a $2 billion portfolio?
I don't know if you're telling me that you're mentioning that there's losses. I'm just saying that we're not, until we actually look at the program and have the information, we are not in a position to say whether there are losses or to respond in any other way to that.
Mr. Chairman, my time is up, but I have to tell you honestly, I am shocked to find out that nobody at the Federal Reserve, including the Inspector General, is keeping track of this.
Did you hear what she said? She said that they don't even have the jurisdiction to audit Federal Reserve branch banks. The Federal Reserve doesn't even have the jurisdiction. This is all the more reason why we need an immediate accounting of the Federal Reserve. There is no accountability. There is no transparency. And no one, not even the Inspector General of the Fed, is keeping track of the trillions of tax dollars stolen from you. However, there is a solution to the plundering of the U.S. Treasury, the plundering of the U.S. taxpayer. Justin Kapasinskis and Justin Kielthau of the Campaign for Liberty, Illinois, collected signatures of support for Ron Paul's HR-1207, the Federal Reserve Transparency Act. They presented these signatures to Congressman Mark Kirk of the Illinois 10th District, and this is what he had to say.
I have 80 signatures from members of my precinct supporting it. It's House Resolution 1207, auditing the Federal Reserve banking system, so we can find out where our money's going and what agreements they've made with foreign governments.
Right. In general, it's a fairly good idea. So this is a Ron Paul bill.
Yes.
I've done something similar. I sent a letter to the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, on a related topic, which I think Congressman Paul is most worried about, and that's this. You know, the Fed made a really big change in January with how it operates. First time since 1962, but I think we had only done it briefly, 1 or 2 times before, is it started to buy U.S. debt. And they said, you know, the Fed has entered the market to monetize U.S. Treasury bills. And everybody says, you know, that goes right over everybody's head. What the hell's that? Bottom line, one part of the government is buying the other part of the government. And by the way, the Fed doesn't have anything in the bank. It is just electronically printing the money and then using it to buy U.S. debt. A number of major banks and financial officials around the world are tremendously concerned with printing money and then buying U.S. debt. Because what does that sound like? Hyperinflation and a much lower dollar. And I am tremendously worried, as Congressman Paul is, that we have a flip. So a number of congressmen joined me in a letter to Bernanke, but I'm generally very much in line. I haven't signed on to too many Ron Paul bills, but I'm generally in line with what he's doing.
Well, as you can see, Kirk never answered the question. I mean, it's great to see that he understands about hyperinflation. It's great to see that he knows the Fed is just printing money digitally. But you know, he never answered the question. Instead of supporting the bill that would provide transparency for the Federal Reserve, he decided to send a letter to the bank. Come on, Kirk. We know what you're doing. That letter is just so you can appease your constituents who want accountability for the federal bailouts. And yes, Kirk, we know about your carousing with the Rockefellers. Unlike some people's memories, we recall your of HR 5405, where you worked with Senator Rockefeller to change the Social Security card into a national ID card with a trackable microchip. So don't pander to me and your constituents with love letters to the Fed. Get on board and co-sign this bill, Congressman Kirk. Your country needs you now. Now, speaking of getting on board, last week, Austin, Texas, shooting interviews for the Camp FEMA documentary. While there, I got an inside look at the Alex Jones studios.
What's up, guys? Gary Franchi here on location in Alex Jones' studio. Alex is on the air right now. It's really exciting to be here. You know, he just did that big money bomb. And in fact, I believe we're standing in the where his new studio is going to be built. So we're down here, we're doing some interviews with Alex for the new film Camp FEMA. We're really excited for that, have Alex be a part of that program. So I'll catch up with you in just a minute, and we'll see you on the flip side.